Good morning and welcome to the garage. What we're doing this morning is removing the seat that you see me sitting on. So this seat is the 60 portion of the 40-60 split in the third row of my 2021 Toyota Sequoia. I don't know the difference in all the trim levels, but mine is a platinum Sequoia, so this was a motorized power up and down seat. I left it in this kind of open state before unplugging it, and I made a little support bracket to sit it on, and we're using it as a seat in our garage. I've got a couple of bed sheets on it to protect it. Take a quick video of how I have this set up here. Okay, so you can see I've got the seat mounted to a couple pieces of wood. This plywood that's on the floor of my garage, this is not part of this. I'm building a practice dance floor for my daughter who does Irish dance. But you can see I've got a few kind of like bed slat sized pieces of wood that I just screwed together. I cut a couple of triangle shaped pieces to keep it at the right angle for this front piece, and I've just mounted the front and done the back with some of my 1x6s, I believe. So I've got the seat mounted there. You'll see these are the alignment pins for when you mount the seat into the car. The only tools you're going to need are a 10mm and 14mm sockets. Small screwdriver would help. And I also ended up using some drywall anchors and caulk to plug two of the holes which were open to the bottom of the vehicle. Now, I don't actually suggest using drywall anchors and screws. Instead, you can buy some nylon automotive plugs from Harbor Freight. I'd recommend getting those and a little bit of caulk to make sure that you plug the open holes so you don't get any water intrusion. The actual seat bolts do not open to the exterior of the vehicle, and you can just put those bolts back into the floor. But the holes with the alignment pin that I showed you looking at the bottom of the seat, those two holes, there's one on each side of this seat, and probably there are more on the other seat you would have to check, but those holes go through to the exterior of the vehicle, and if they're not plugged up, they could allow some water intrusion. So you'll definitely want to close those up somehow, whether it's just with nylon or if you choose to do caulk and some other plug like I did. But yeah, pretty easy job, not hard. Maybe took me about 30 minutes of work total, if I don't count the time filming, which obviously is, I'm no professional videographer. Hope you enjoyed, hope it helped. How you doing, YouTube? I'm in my 2021 Platinum Sequoia. I realized as I was doing this that I didn't see a lot of people with videos on how to remove the rear seats of a second generation Sequoia. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I kind of already started the process, so I'm in the middle of it a little bit, but I figured I'd get it on video and maybe help somebody else out. So let's get into it. Okay, so first thing you're going to want to do is remove this plastic cargo carrier area. This is if you remove any cargo area covers. There's a little lift piece you lift up to get access to this. Back here is where your jack and your tire changing gear is normally stored, which I have over in the garage there. But to remove this, you just pry off these little plastic pieces with a small screwdriver. You pull this up, and that reveals this 10mm bolt. Screws down in there, so you just unscrew those four, and then this whole plastic tray just pulls out very easily. Once the tray is out, you've got access to the bolts that keep the seat in. Now I'm only removing my left side, the 60 for the 40-60 split, because I want to keep the ability to have 5 people in this car. With Platinum trim, I don't have a bench seat, so if I want a 5th person, I gotta keep one of these rear seats. But I'm gonna be taking this one out, so I have some extra storage for a camping build here. So there are 4 bolts. I've already unscrewed the 2 rear ones, so there's one right there. These bolts, the silver bolts you see, those are for the jack storage, but there's one bolt right here for this. The bolt on the right is for the seat I'm leaving in. When I'm around here, my middle row seat is folded down, and you'll have these plastic covers right here that you just pry off. There's one bolt there. There's another plastic cover you got to pull off here, and there's one bolt there. This is for the seat that's staying in. So those 4 bolts are all there is. You got to take your seatbelt clips and push them through. There's some little keeper rings that are hard to see that hold them in place. You have to feed them through there and push them back behind the seat so they're not attached to the seat when you try to pull it out. And then in my case, I'm gonna leave this seat folded up. I'm gonna use it as an extra seat in the garage for sitting down on. However, you may choose to have this folded down before you remove it, but I'm gonna try to leave it up. Howdy, Future Justin here. I forgot to mention, I had just realized while editing the video that I didn't point out where the wiring harness was to be unplugged. So when you're undoing the rear bolt, just while you're doing that, make sure you unplug this wiring harness here from the wiring harness that stays in the vehicle. So this is the vehicle side of the harness. Pull out this clip before pulling out the seats. I just wanted to point that out in case. Okay, so in this 2021, that's all there were was those 4 bolts, but I was a little bit confused pulling it out there with these white, what looked like tubes going into the floor, and I was trying to look underneath the vehicle to see exactly what these were, but after reading a little bit on forums, these are just pins that go into the hole you see there to make sure the seat is aligned. So don't worry about pulling anything out. When you pull that, just pull straight up and the pins come out of the holes. But when you're ready to put the seat back in, those will help you align it so you know you've got it in the right spot. There's also this structural bar that goes across. I've seen people take this out. I don't plan to take it out. It does give a couple of good strong cargo tie downs here. Right there, and I'm thinking it might be something slightly structural. In any case, I believe I plan to put that cargo storage bin back in here to keep stuff like, you know, recovery gear, tire inflator, that kind of stuff that I don't need routine access to. But what I'm going to try to do is carefully, I've got to get these brackets moved up to the front of the bar so I can lean the seat back, and I'm going to try to pull it out of the car back towards away from the camera. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so I've got the seat laying on that back cargo area, which is carpeted, so it's protected. What I did is when I tried to pull it forward, it was catching on this, so I carefully leaned it back towards, forward towards the front of the car in order to get the rear area free, lifted it up slightly, and then I was able to lean it back and kind of rest it on that bar going across. You can see it leaves these squares here. It doesn't look to me like this is open to the outside, so I could leave the bolts out and not worry about any water intrusion, but I think I'm gonna put them back in and possibly use them for cargo or storage bin tie down or something like that. But you can see the area that it leaves there. Let's go try to get this all the way out. Okay, so you see I've got the seat out here. I just, again, 4 bolts, 1, 2, 3, and 4 at the bottom. and then these pins, the alignment pins, to stick it in. So I think what I'm gonna do here is just get some wood and mount it to a piece of wood so I can set this up and use it as a seat here in the garage. Take a look at what it looks like on the inside. So you can see this kind of structural beam that goes across. I'm gonna put the cargo storage bin back here, but it does free up quite a bit of room here. That's probably a good 8 inches, maybe 10 inches high. Okay, yeah, so we're looking at almost 10 inches, right at 9 3/4 or so, for how high that seat level is. So that's quite a bit of storage space we've got there. You notice that the floor does kind of slant down, makes a little bit of a bucket. So it's not entirely flat under there, but yeah, I like the amount of space it frees up there. So I think I'm gonna keep it. Again, I've seen people remove this crossbar, and this looks pretty structural to me. And it's part of the mechanism that holds in the jack. So I think I'm gonna leave that there, leave the jack in the place it's intended, and I'll just use this as, you know, general recovery gear storage. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna have a sleeping platform here, maybe some cooler storage here, recovery gear, and just a general kind of weekender camper setup, while still being able to carry about 5 people. One thing to note is that while it doesn't appear the seat mounting holes go through the frame to the exterior, these alignment holes for those alignment tabs, those do go to the exterior of the vehicle. So I'm gonna have to find some way to plug this. They had a kind of seal around them at the bottom, a rubberized seal. I think I have some nylon plugs I'm gonna stick in there until I figure out something more permanent, maybe just some silicone caulk and a nylon plug. Okay, so I really didn't want to leave those holes in the floor for any amount of time, especially because we're supposed to be getting some rain this week here in Florida. So you can see these are the alignment pins. They have this kind of rubber seal around them to keep moisture from coming in from the exterior. Plus, the pin itself kind of keeps it, but these are riveted in, so I can't reuse this pin in the floor while this heat's out. But I was looking at it, and what I do have are some drywall mounts for picture mounts that I think are about the right size. So I'm going to take some of those. Got some exterior silicone. I'm going to put some silicone around the hole, and then try to fit these in. This hole is very small. It's just round. I've already tested this. This will push through. I can even put a little screw on the top to make it expand, make sure it stays in. This hole is a little bit wider. I think it's just kind of oval shaped to make it easier to get in the first time, and then the other one for alignment. So this screws in, and I realize this is not, you know, this has holes in it, but I'm going to put silicone and then probably again put another screw here just to keep it expanded, to keep it from falling out. I think between the silicone and the screw to keep it expanded, that'll be good enough to keep water out. This isn't an over-the-wheel well or anything, so it should be minimal splash up, but I think that'll be good enough for me. Just place a small bead of caulk around there. Push this guy down. I need a small rubber mallet to get that in there all the way. Okay, I'll just I'll just clean this up with my finger a little bit here. Alright, I'll do the other one, then I'll get a screw in there to keep it in place. This one is a little bit bigger hole. Again, it's an oval. This is a slightly larger, different style mount, but it does screw in. I think between the silicone and the larger, between the silicone and the larger head on this, it'll do the job. So I'm gonna screw this in to get it all the way. And then you can screw a screw into this. I think that'll do it. I'm just gonna get a couple of small screws that are not incredibly deep. That'll just screw in there just to expand the drywall anchor enough to hold it in place. Got a couple of little drywall screws here. I'm just gonna screw these into place, and that should keep my anchors in place to plug my holes. I don't know if that screw is quite long enough. I might need to get a longer one there. The anchor is spinning in place and it doesn't seem like it fully expanded. Let's see how we do with this one. I wasn't entirely satisfied with how that other anchor was fitting, so I got this washer and a larger drywall anchor that I found. And what I'm gonna do is, actually I've got the washer on some silicone. I'm gonna add a little bit more silicone around the washer and drop this larger anchor in, and that should work for my needs here. This one is larger, so I'm probably gonna have to hammer this one like I did the other. We'll be able to get a good view of this, but I'll try. Reach my hammer. There we go. And I can still see daylight through there, so I'm going to drop some silicone in it before I screw anything in. And I'm trying to find a screw that'll work here. Okay, so I got a bolt, fits in there. It's reasonably secure. Got interrupted by the lawnmower. It was a bit delayed, but I got it in, and I think that's going to keep water out just fine. Yeah, so I'm going to get the cargo storage tray back in here, and this job will be done. I'll decide later what I'm going to do with these seat belts. I think I might remove them and then still have that point to make another tie down. I've seen a way on forums to take this, if you remove the bottom part, you can pull this out and kind of tuck this whole thing into the wall space where you're not using it. So I may decide to do that. Or, you know, I could leave it in, and this could be an attachment point to like hold down, you know, a fridge or something while I'm driving. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's it for now. Again, I hope this was helpful. Give a like and thumbs up, and thanks for watching.